Hello! Welcome to Sarah Makes. I'm Sarah. If you're new here, probably. I've got a mug of peppermint tea here in my giraffe mug. Yeah, right. Very cool. Charlie's here. Hello. I've got a fire going for you. Isn't it wonderful? It's really warm. It's been unseasonably warm in California, so I haven't had many reasons to start a fire, but I thought that having a fire in the background would have a nice ambiance for this video. I'm going to be talking to you guys about my reading journal and what I plan on doing with it. I have never kept a reading journal before, so this is just like my first iteration of a reading journaling kind of system. And then I have a stack of books here for you today. I think there's 9 books here for me to tell you about. This is my physical TBR. It's also kind of a Christmas haul because like 5 of these I was gifted for Christmas. So without further ado, my reading journal. This is a bullet journal, Leuchtturm 1917 collab. I was gifted by my cousin in our cousin's gift exchange. The fire's looking good. Sorry, I'm just checking on it. I was also gifted some washi tape that I am going to show you. I'm obviously not going to be using this to bullet journal. Actually, the whole reason I decided I wanted to start a reading journal like this is because I was watching videos about commonplace journaling. And I wanted to do that kind of with the books that I read, like have some sort of, or develop some sort of like low maintenance annotating system. I am not one of those people who can make like all of the tabbing system for their annotating and their underlining and highlighting and writing in books, and or I'm also not one of those people that like does all the decorations for the bullet journal thing. I have tried it before. Setting up a basic weekly page was like way too much work for me. So bullet journaling in that kind of way is really not for me. I have my own journaling system and I'm excited to add like a reading journal to that. So I like how I said without further ado and then further I did, you know? So sorry about that, but this journal came with like pre-set up pages for the beginning. So in the first couple of pages is a key and an intentions page. I did write some intentions for this journal on the intentions page, and then for the key I have my book rating system. I was gifted cat themed washi tape, so it however many stars I'm giving the book in my rating when I am writing my thoughts in this journal is gonna be how many cats are on the tape, right? I don't know if that makes any sense. I'll give you an example. I already have 2 entries in here, and basically what I'm doing is underlining or highlighting passages from the books, the physical books that I have that I want to remember, and then writing those quotes down in this book. And then at the end of my entry, writing a little blurb about what I think of it at the end. So I have 2 entries here. The picture of Dorian Gray, which I gave 3 stars to. And then I have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, which I gave 4 stars to. See, there's 4 cats on the tape. If you can see, I don't really know. Filming with your back camera is hard when you don't have all of those little tech things, so you know what's happening. Anyways, the other pages in this book that came like pre-done are the index pages. There's 4 pages in the index. I accidentally started my index in the middle of the index pages, so I'm just gonna leave that how it is. And then there's a future log, which is like a bullet journaling thing, but what I'm using the future log for, there's 4 pages. I'm using it as a like list of books that I want to read. So whenever I am done with this physical stack of books, I am probably going to choose my next read out of one of these titles that I have written down here. I have a lot. There's probably like 40 books in here. Some of them are science fiction, some of them are fantasy, some of them are nonfiction. I'm trying to branch out and read different genres, and some of them are like weird literary fiction, others are just regular literary fiction. Yeah, I just would like, you know, to be able to call myself a well-read person. The like beginning chunk of this list is the stack that I have here. The first book that I want to tell you guys about is I'm trying to decide if I should mess with the fire or not. I think I'm gonna leave it. It's very hot right now. There's a lot of blue flames. The first book that I have is Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. I was gifted this when I went to college, or when I decided that I was gonna study English. My grandma gave it to me. My Grammy gave it to me. And I never read it. I tried to start it, but I didn't get very far. I probably didn't even get 50 pages in. Because the beginning with the like description of all of the like how they breed people basically, and how they condition those babies in like nursery, it was too much for me. I was not understanding, and part of the reason that I was not understanding what was going on was because I was trying to read this as like the last thing I did before bed, not like before bed, like I was in my bed trying to read until I fell asleep, and just could not get my brain into this book. So this is gonna have to be something that I take a more active approach to reading. I'm probably gonna have to read this. I'm gonna have to make time to finish this like during the day instead of right before I fall asleep. The next book I have to talk to you about is The Obelisk Gate. Oh, I'm so excited to read this. I'd never read N.K. Jemisin before I read the 5th season. It was recommended to me by my sister, this series, and I read the 5th season. I bought a copy a few months ago, and it was great. I mean, each of the installments in this series, this trilogy, won the Hugo Award for Best Novel, and the last book won the Hugo and the Nebula Award for Best Novel. So these are just like, I think, important science fiction currently. I know they were published in like 2013 or something, but when was this published? 2016. Yeah, I believe the first one must have been 2015. One thing I do love about this is the first thing I noticed when I opened the 5th season was that N.K. Jemisin's headshot is the entire inside cover, which I think is sick. And yeah, I'm just really excited to continue this series. This was one of the books that I was gifted for Christmas. After I read this, I'm gonna be reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. because she's the mother of science fiction and I have been reading a lot of science fiction in the past like year and a half. So I thought it was in my quest to be more well read and read more classics. I obviously have to go back to the beginning of science fiction and pay homage to the mother of science fiction, Mary Shelley. And yeah, I was specific about the edition that I wanted. I wanted the cloth-bound classics. So that's what I was gifted for Christmas. I really love the hearts. I think it's so cool. The cloth is a little slippery, honestly, so it's gonna be like in my hands. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this. The paper in the book is kind of thick, but the actual story doesn't start until here. There's this much of intro essays, which is crazy to me. And there's about as much at the back of the book too that is actually not Frankenstein. So that was just something I noticed about this book. But yeah, after this I am gonna finish the Broken Earth trilogy with The Stone Sky. I mean, I already talked about N.K. Jemisin. I am excited to finish this series so that I can, you know, go back into her other series, because this is the third like fantasy science fiction series that she wrote. So I'm excited to get into the N.K. Jemisin universe, I guess. I know they're not all in the same thing, but yeah, once I finish this, I definitely will be picking up books from her other series. After that, I'm gonna bring the tone down, I guess, a little bit with East of Eden. You know what? But before we talk about East of Eden, I'm actually gonna put some more wood on the fire. I had to open my windows because the fire is hot. I feel like my face is hot. I'm willing to bet my face is so red right now, actually, because I just spent a long time struggling with a log that I got stuck in a place that is going to be hard to get it out of. And I just had to give up eventually. I'm sweating. Anyways, East of Eden. Like I said, actually, did I say that before? I don't think I have. I was influenced, I forget the name of the girl, the booktuber, who talked about this so much in the videos recently that I have watched from her, but she has said a lot of good things about this book, and, you know, I want to be someone that, I want to be like her, so I want to be someone that also likes this book. I cannot promise that I will, though. I think probably it will be better for me to read this than like A Little Life, just for the entire purpose of, you know, the content of A Little Life. I guess so. I've been wanting to read A Little Life for a long time. I don't want to read it anymore, actually, but I had heard so much about it. I was like, maybe I should read this book. Maybe I should read this book. Maybe it would be like cathartic for me. It won't be, so I'm gonna read this instead. I mean, it is set in Central California. I grew up in California. I probably should just like read more John Steinbeck in general, because he is such a celebrated author. I know it's like a generational tale, I guess. But yeah, I'm willing to bet that this will be quite a long entry in my journal when I'm finished. After East of Eden, I'm gonna lighten it up quite a bit with Legendborn. This is a book where I was, okay, my parents put all of our, actually this is not from my parents' house. I'm so sorry. This is from my sister's shelves, and they have never read it. So I borrowed it because I've been wanting to read it for a little while. I'm excited to find out about how the author goes about the Arthurian legend aspect of this book. I know that it's not completely based in Arthurian legend. It's like its own story, but it takes elements of Arthurian legend. So I'm excited to see how the author does that in this book. Hopefully, I'm hoping I like it enough to get the second, and I know the third is going to come out, I believe, this year, in this new year, 2025, baby. After Legendborn, I'm gonna take it back down, actually, into the depressing with Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. This is the last book that I was gifted for Christmas. I was gifted 5 books for Christmas. So I asked for this, this will be the second Sally Rooney that I've read. I've read Normal People. It's on the shelf behind my phone right now. And I've watched Normal People, obviously. I'm a, mid-20s girl, so of course I've watched Normal People. I mean, I think this is one of those books where you either love it or you hate it, so I'm excited to see which side of the fence that I'll end up on at the end. I have a feeling this will be kind of a long entry in my reading journal as well, though. So after Intermezzo, I'm gonna get back into the fantasy of it all. Eragon. I went looking into my parents' boxes of kids books. Like there's boxes of just books from when me and my siblings were kids. In my parents' garage, and I was looking for copies of The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. Because I knew that at least one, I was looking in particular for The Hunger Games because I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes for the first time last year, and I wanted to do like a full reread of the series. So when I went looking through my parents' boxes of books for that series, I found a copy of Eragon. This is actually another book that I have started before, but I started it when I was probably in like 5th or 6th grade, and it was a loan from, I think, my school library. It might have been the city library. Regardless, I lost that book that I borrowed from the library, and I remember getting in trouble for like having lost that book, which and then it did turn up again eventually, and after it turned up again, I just had to return it. Because I didn't want to read it. I didn't want to finish reading it by the time I found it again, because that was like months later. It was a little while later that I had found it. And at that point, I was not gonna finish it before I gave it back. I was just that was just something I had to give back and let go of. But I'm finding my way back to it now. So I'm gonna attempt to read this book again. Something I noticed when I was flipping through this actually is that it is printed in one of my favorite fonts. I'm pretty sure this book and this is my last book in the roundup that we're talking about, Inkheart. I think they're printed in the same font, which is one of my favorite fonts. If they're not printed in the same font, they are printed in very similar fonts. The way I identify this font is the like dots on the I's or the periods or like the heavy part of like an apostrophe or a comma is almost diamond shaped. And I love that font. I realized that I love that font when I was reading Godkiller and Sunbringer last year. The Broken Earth trilogy is printed in that font too, so it's like I'm assuming it's something connected to fantasy fiction novels. I don't think you would ever see like a literary fiction novel printed in this font, but I don't know what it's called, which irks me. So if you do know what this font is called, please tell me, because I cannot figure out how to find out what this font is called. With that being said though, after Eragon, I'm gonna read Inkheart. As you can tell, this is a very well-loved copy of this book. I have read this before. It's been quite a long time. I mean, like, if you can see, I wrote my name and the amount of AR points it was worth. So I must have read this in like 4th or 5th grade, and it was 21 points. So that's a lot of AR points, if you didn't know. I really like this book. I've read the trilogy. I've read all 3 of these books. I believe when I brought this book home from my parents' house, I brought Dragon Rider as well, which is another Cornelia Funke, which is how you pronounce her name. I know because I went to a book signing of hers once as a child, and that's how she pronounces her name. Because she's German. But yes, I've read all 3 of these. I think she recently published a 4th. If I'm wrong, you can tell me, but when I was on her website, one of her most recently published books was a 4th book in the Inkheart world. So I think I might reread the whole series. I do have a copy of Ink Spell, which is the 2nd book in this series, but the copy I have, there's like whole chunks of pages like coming out, like completely separated from, like the glue completely separated, and like whole chunks of, you know, portions of the book are falling out of it. So I'm gonna have to borrow it or get a new copy. I'm probably gonna see if I can get it from the library, because I'm getting a library card this year too. I had a library card when I was living in Phoenix. I moved back here a couple of years ago and have not gotten a library card since moving. But it's time, and I'm gonna go to the LA County Library that's close to me, because I'll have access to the LA County Library. whole system. Oh, another thing about Inkheart was I recently watched the movie because they made the first movie from this series, but if you've read Inkheart before, you know that it's kind of about like a guy who has the power to read read a book and make stuff that's in that book come out, like take the things in that book out into this real world, but as a consequence things from this world disappear into the book. It's a little confusing, the magic system, honestly, which we don't really have to get into. It's also been a long time since I've read this book, but part of the plot of the first book is that one day it only happens when he reads aloud. He has to he's called Silver Tongue because of this ability. And he one night was reading aloud to his daughter, and his wife got traded for like robbers from the story that he was reading. So he read his wife into the book and other people from the book out, and she kept on living in the book world. It's hard to explain. It's fantasy for sure. But in that movie, Silver Tongue is played by Brendan Fraser. So it'll be fun to watch or to read this book imagining Brendan Fraser as the main character, the whole time. So those are all the physical books that I have to talk about today. If you want to talk to me about any of these books, go ahead and drop a comment. If you know what font I was talking about, please, I know I already said this, please let me know. I want to know the name of this font so badly. And then something is steaming. Weird. If you have any book recommendations for me, I would love to hear them. Like, comment, subscribe, basically. In this new year, I am going to get better at vlogging my making processes. So the next video I put out is gonna be me finishing a couple of pieces, which I'm excited about. I haven't finished anything in, actually that's a lie, I finished a few things recently, but these are things that I've been wanting to finish and kind of have just like, something about me is that I'm gonna damn well get almost all the way done, and then I'm gonna stop doing something. So I have a piece that I just need to put a clasp on, and then it's done. It's completely done, and I just haven't done it for months. And then another piece that is definitely in the middle, but could be easily finished in a couple of days. So the next video I have for you guys is going to be about that, and I'm also going to explain my knitting journal that I have been keeping for a little while. And yeah, subscribe to this channel if you want to see that. If you want to see more of my book content as well, you can subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on Instagram. I post about the books that I'm reading, I post about what I'm making, and I also post stories about the music that I'm listening to. So if you're interested in any of that, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram, I'll put my handle down below. It's the same as my channel name though. So yeah, if you've gotten this far in the video, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all of you. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.